lots of puddles, a rubber ball, and one happy monkey. The perfect recipe for fun on a rainy day in the country. George had lost his ball, but he had found something he'd never noticed before. A cave. George didn't know much about caves, but he knew one thing about being in the dark. You can't really see anything. How would he find the ball now?
I've got that. Oh, hey, George. You want to help me bake my famous banana walnut cake? Oh.
George invited Jumpy Squirrel to help him find the ball in the cave. That squirrel didn't know what he was missing by being so jumpy. The cave was like a new playground for George. With just a flashlight, he could bring shadows to life. And turn himself into a fearless giant. Suddenly, the cave seemed very different. For the very first time, George was truly afraid of the dark. In the safety of his room, George was happy. He knew he never had to go back to that spooky cave again.
Good night, George. George, is that you? Huh. I guess I forgot to turn off the lights. Did I forget to turn off all of these lights too? Huh.
When Mrs. Quint asked for help setting up a surprise party for Mr. Quint's birthday, George was almost ready. He practiced yelling, "Surprise!" until he was really good at it. But he wanted to be the best, so he kept practicing.
You ever thrown a surprise party for Mr. Quint before?
Well, it's the only way to give him a party.
Because you're such a big family?
Exactly.
I'm watching for Mr. Quint's boat. No sign of him.
Oh, you don't have to watch yet, Bill. He won't be back for at least 2 hours.
Whoa! It's not my birthday, George. I'm not supposed to get surprised.
He's home early.
No! What do we do?
Oh, take him to your house and keep him there till party time.
Not yet, George.
Well, hey there, young fellas.
Ooh, looks like you sprung a leak. Bad luck today, huh?
Well, not all bad. Got to see part of the river I never saw before. The bottom. Well, I gotta change my soggy socks.
Don't! I mean, come to our house. We want to build a fish pond and need expert advice about fish.
Well, sure. Well, let me just get some dry clothes.
Here, dry clothes. Go help him.
All right, Mother, if you say so.
Huh? No Quint can resist fish crackers. They may come in handy. Okay, goodbye. Have fun.
So George and the man with the yellow hat kept Mr. Quint busy with lots of questions.
What do you think?
Well, if you make a pond that big, you can have almost any size fish.
As George was about to ask exactly how many whales he could have, Mr. Quint's brother, Flint Quint, showed up.
Hi. George, it's Mr. Quint's brother, the train station master.
Hey, Clint, happy birthday.
Hey, Flint, happy birthday.
Oh, didn't you know the Quints were born together? So Flint can't know about the party either, okay?
The Quints were twins. Now George had 2 people to yell surprise at. It couldn't get any better.
Your wife said you needed help, so I came right over.
Well, this here's fish business, not train, so you can weigh anchor. I'll meet you back at my house.
Don't go! We want to know about running a train around the pond we're planning. I'll be right back. Hello?
Oh, it's Mrs. Quint. Disaster. The bakery truck broke down, so they can't deliver the birthday cake.
Don't worry, I can go pick it up.
Oh, thank you. It's at Mr. Pescado's bakery over in Franklin Square.
You can't run tracks across the pond. It'll scare the fish.
Well, then we'll just have to tunnel.
Guys, could you monkey sit for me while I run an errand?
Sure. We'll just figure out the pond while you're gone.
George, it's your job to keep the Quints here so the surprise isn't wrecked, okay?
George knew this would be easy because the Quint brothers would probably argue about the pond for hours.
Well, we've got it all worked out. The perfect pond and train.
So we'll monkey sit you at my house where we could draw up plans.
George had to keep the Quints here. It was important. The surprise.
Fish crackers! Ooh, ooh, ooh.
It was a nice summer morning. so George was walking the man with the yellow hat to the subway.
Sorry I'm walking so fast, George, but I can't be late. George?
Well, he was when they started. But George had seen something so amazing, he had to stop.
Oh, there you are. Did you see a toy you want? You already have a dinosaur just like that. You want an oven?
George never had a toy that could make cake. Sweet, delicious cake.
I'm sorry, George. That's expensive, and I just bought you an expensive toy last week. George, can we please talk about this later? I'm late for work. Sorry, George, but I can't buy every toy you see. Be a good little monkey.
If the man with the yellow hat couldn't buy it, George would have to buy it himself. All he needed was to get a job and start earning money. But Mr. Glass didn't need a window washer today. Chef Biscotti didn't need a dish dryer. It was one of those days when nobody needed a monkey's help.
The new summer display is really gonna attract customers, Dad. The palm tree goes there, beach balls on the wall, and Hawaiian leis everywhere.
I like it. Good work, son.
It'll take me a few hours to pick up everything. We'll set it up when I get back.
I could use 2 more hands while you're gone.
If you had 2 more hands, you'd be like George.
I only wish I could get an employee with 4 hands.
An employee with 4 hands? Here was someone who really needed a monkey. The grocer would be so happy with monkey help. George would probably earn that whole oven in one day.
Hey, do you work here? Perfect. I need to choose bananas. Could you help me? They need to be super sweet. I'm baking a banana cream pie for my mom.
George knew one sure way to find the sweetest tasting bananas. These bananas belonged under the counter, not on top.
How about the bunch behind you? Not the bananas in front of you, the ones behind. Try the bananas behind them. Thanks. This is the best service I've ever had in any store.
Go! Oh! Good morning, George. I'm gonna sleep 5 more minutes, okay? No!
Yes, sorry. This here roller coaster whips and snaps you around hairpin turns at 70 miles per hour. So come on down to Zany Island and ride the Turbo Python 3000. That's Captain's orders. Arr!
Well, that looks very exciting, George. Anyway, we have a lot of errands to run today. I gotta... like I was saying, I'll get dressed so we can spend a fun day at Zany Island riding the Turbo Python 3000. Now, don't eat all that licorice at once, okay, George?
Huh?
Hi, Steve. Betsy?
Hello, George.
Hey, have you guys been on the Turbo Python 3000? We've been on 9 times already. That's the record.
Ah, is it, fun?
He screamed his head off 9 times. We're gonna ride it all day. Wanna come?
Everyone was excited about riding the Turbo Python 3000. Except the man with the yellow hat. He was afraid of roller coasters and remembered the first and last time he rode a roller coaster. It was so long ago, he was just the boy with the yellow hat. And since that day, roller coasters upset him.
Okay, I'm a grown man. I have no reason to fear a roller coaster. Enjoy the ride, George. Whew. I am thirsty.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, but you can't ride the Turbo Python 3000. You have to be as tall as this sign to ride. And, you're not.
Sorry, pal.
That goes for you, too, son.
Do you mind if we ride without you?
Yeah.
Sorry, I measure to the top of a head, not the top of a hat. You're gonna have to really grow before you can ride there, little fella.
George wondered exactly how much he had to grow. But when he measured with his hand, he was the same height as the sign. He must have grown already.
You're not measuring right. I wish I had a ruler or something. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the sign is 5 licorice whips tall, and you are 1, 2, 3, 4 licorice whips tall. You can come back when you're grown 1 more licorice whip tall. And until then, enjoy the rest of the park.
George was conducting an important experiment, testing the bounce factor of the living room furniture. This part of the couch made a different sound. That wasn't the couch. It sounded big. It sounded heavy. And it came from up there.
You must have heard our new neighbor walking around. He moved in last week.
What George had heard seemed heavier than footsteps.
What are you doing? George, you must have heard our neighbor walking. That's all it could be. It's not like he's got some wild animal up there.
The man with the yellow hat lived with George, so why couldn't the new neighbor live with an animal? But what kind? course, the new neighbor had brought home an elephant. The man with the yellow hat had to hear this.
George? You dreamt about an elephant? Shh. Oh, no more nature books before you go to sleep, George. They're obviously giving you strange dreams. This is better bedtime reading. The Happy Sleepy Monkey. Good night.
This new sound certainly wasn't an elephant walking around. It was an elephant that was doing what?
Oh, boy, I didn't sleep at all last night.
George never realized there were so many sounds in the world. He'd never listened hard enough. That was the balcony to the apartment upstairs, where the new neighbor lived, with his elephant. Water! He forgot to refill it. George found out the hard way that the hose was too short. Maybe it didn't have to reach. He could spray it from here. George knew they were down to only a duck and a half. He had to get water up that hill somehow. He needed something that held water but was smaller than a pail. This was going to take a few trips. George knew he couldn't fill the pool in time. It was over.
George, I saw you running up and down. What are you doing, trying to fill a pool one cup at a time? Huh, city kids. There are proper ways to carry water. I'll show ya. Stop there, or it'll be too heavy. Well, I carry one up. You fill the other one halfway. This is called a bucket brigade. All done. Come on up.
George's idea worked. A happy ending for ducks and duck lovers.
This is way too close to the edge. I'll pull it back. Whoa!
At that moment, Jumpy remembered why he always stayed in trees.
George, is that you? Oh, my hat!
You know, there's a proper method for mop squeezing.
Yep, I know, Bill. George, I want to remind you, those ducks are here temporarily.
George wondered exactly how long he could make temporarily last.
Oh, hiya, George. Hiya, George. See, this is why boat travel is always best.
Hey, Clint.
Hey, Wint. George, you remember my brother, Wint.
Hey, George. I was proceeding northward and encountered stationary vehicles. Thought I should investigate, That's not right.
Thanks, Wint.
Oh, did you do this? But now, George, you're from the city. You must see traffic lights every day. Don't you know how they work?
George only paid attention to the lights that told him when to walk. Those other lights were for drivers. And he didn't drive.
Well, you're young and you are a monkey, but you should try to be more curious about important things. Well, it's simple. Green means the car should go. Yellow means slow down. Red means the cars have to stop. Don't interfere with that light while it's performing its duty. Okay, George? I don't even know why they put a traffic light out here in the middle of nowhere. Seems wrong.
The light was out. But that wasn't so bad. It wasn't even there yesterday. Except that yesterday, Jumpy had his branch bridge to cross the road on. Then George thought of something he could do to help. Since George now understood how a traffic light worked, he was ready to be one. With George in charge, that traffic light worked better than before. At least it was better for squirrels.
George, you promised to let that light perform its duty. What? Ah, it's not performing its duty. I apologize, George, but get down. Hey, that's the squirrel I always witness proceeding across the road on those high branches. Oh, did they cut off his squirrel crossing for that light? We don't even need this light. There's hardly any traffic. Yeah, well, George, squirrel, chicken, and chicks too, I am going to see that this situation is resolved. That's my job.
It turned out they'd put that light up on the wrong corner. It was meant to go up in the middle of town. Wint Quint and Clint Quint put up a temporary squirrel bridge until the tree branches could grow back. And George decided to look at the traffic lights back in the city. Maybe some of them needed a monkey. Being a monkey in the big city can be an exciting experience. But it isn't perfect.
Oh. Oh. Wow, we could really use some fresh country air, huh?
The man with the yellow hat knows when the time's right to get his monkey out of the city.
Take a deep breath and fill your lungs with good, clean country air. It's good to be back, isn't it? You can let the clean air out, George. There's plenty here. Well, George, looks like Bill built a bunny hutch in his yard. Want to go see the bunnies?
There you go. Hey there! Got George with you?
How'd you know it was us?
Well, guess. Hey, I just got bunnies. Want to see?
George had never seen a bunny up close before.
You like bunnies, George?
Do they have names?
Sure. There's Fuzzy, Whitey, Brownie, Spotty, Black Ears, Cottontail, and Herbert Nenninger. And that's their mom. Want to pet one? Which one? Brownie? Whitey? Fuzzy. Fuzzy's cool. There's some things you need to know about bunnies before you pet one. Oh no! It's time to deliver my papers. Sorry. tomorrow and you can pet them all.
Well, you're just gonna have to wait till tomorrow, George.
Ooh, George could barely stand it. Who can wait a whole day to pet bunnies?
You going out? Be a good little monkey.
George thought he could keep the bunnies company while Bill was away. They were so still, so quiet, so fuzzy. Bunnies, bunnies. Bill wouldn't mind if he petted one bunny, just once, if he was very, very careful. The bunnies were so still and quiet and fast. They were almost too fast to see. Definitely too fast to pet. And absolutely too fast to do as they were told. Their mom knew enough to stay in the hutch, but George wasn't taking any more chances. George decided he'd better figure out how many bunnies got loose by counting their bowls. 7. That meant he still had to catch 7. George found a big flat rope. A rope this big must have something very important tied to the other end.
Andy, look at what your mascot did.
I'll show you a trick. Push that button.
Okay, everyone, time for practice.
Practice? This was a chance for George to see all that equipment in action. So George helped test the airbag. He demonstrated what a good climber he was. He learned what a pike pole could do. And he showed them that he remembered how to reel in a hose.
Oh, stop!
Maybe we're not ready for a mascot.
Rescue request. A pigeon is stuck in a whale.
Don't say it.
Oh, I'm so glad you came quickly. Hello, George.
Hello. What's the problem?
Up there. The pigeon flies out, but then flies right back in. It's like he has no sense of direction.
That sounded a lot like a pigeon that George knew. And that sounded like a bad pigeon imitation Compass had heard before.
That monkey has more friends than I do.
He's free. He's gonna fly right out the window.
We've got to get up to him.
But how? Our truck won't fit through the door and our ground ladder is too short.
Rope and pulley.
It's too far from the balcony.
We can poke holes in the well till the pigeon drops out.
Oh, our poor whale.
Compass was very happy to see a familiar, whatever George was.
Look, George is bringing him out.
George knew Compass well enough by now, so he pointed the pigeon directly at the far wall. Compass understood and flew the best he could for the far wall. And of course, missed completely.
Hey, George, we're ready for you. Huh, guess it's time to take George home and find that dog's owner.
I can tell you where Sharky lives.
George, I'm afraid you can't be our mascot. Because for meritorious service performed in freeing a pigeon from inside a whale, I hereby name you unofficial rescue monkey of Squad 86.
Rescue Squad 86 has a lot of great equipment. But sometimes the right tool for the job is a monkey.
But those aren't monsters. You see? They're the same things in the dark as they are in the light. Your imagination got the best of you, George. But you know what? I have something to make you feel better. Your own personal nightlight. Now you'll never be afraid in the dark. All right, good night, George. Bad news, George. The storm knocked the power out. Hey, don't worry. We won't be in the dark. I have got my trusty Spelunker Scout's flashlight. Wow, that's funny. I always keep it right here. I know how to handle this old storm. It'll be fun, just like camping out. Right, George?
Camping out in the living room would have been fun if George had been able to fall asleep.
Well, still no electricity, George. Yep, that last big storm knocked it out for 4 whole days. But don't worry, I know my flashlight is around here somewhere.
George knew he had to get that flashlight back if he wanted to sleep tonight. But the thought of going back to that cave alone was too scary.
Oh, you want those leftover walnuts? Well, help yourself.
George had led Jumpy to the cave. Now he had to get the squirrel to follow him inside. That was easier than he expected. The man with the yellow hat was right. The only scary things in the dark were in George's imagination.
Sorry. I didn't frighten you, did I, George? Oh, couldn't make it home before the rain, so I came in here. Oh, and I found this. Want it? I've been exploring this cave since I was a boy. Come on, I'll show you around.
That night, the power was restored. But George almost wished it was still out. And so, after a day of spooky shadows and strange shapes and sounds, George found that he never felt so at home as he did right then, in the dark.
Little monkeys sure can take up a lot of space, especially when they have a lot of stuff.
Well, that's the last of it, George. George? Now, George, are you sure we can't give this all away instead of storing it in the basement? You'll never use any of this stuff again.
The way George saw it, you should save everything because you never know when you might need it.
Okay, let's take it downstairs.
There's nothing Hundley loved more than a clean lobby. He only wished that monkey felt the same way.
Oh, sorry about that, Hundley.
Is that all of it?
It's not even half of it.
301's doorbell is stuck again. Don't worry, Hundley will show you to the basement.
Great. George, I'll go upstairs for more boxes. Why don't you and Hundley find a spot for them? Don't go down empty-handed.
Hundley decided to find a place for George's stuff. It occurred to Hundley that this was the first time he'd been in the basement by himself. Now, where did that ball go? A good lobby dog is fearless.
What are you guys waiting for? Why aren't you bringing the boxes downstairs? Well, I'll go upstairs and get more boxes.
George knew something in that basement must have scared Hundley, but he wondered what. Hundley couldn't let George go into that basement all by himself. He was a lobby dog, and this was his job. There was nothing to be afraid of. A basement is just a room full of junk. There was nothing to be afraid of down here. Except for that creepy noise.
George? Are you two all right?
Calm down.
Something in that basement must be frightening them. Let's all go down together and see what it is.
Well, I have to wait for the doorbell repairman.
Hundley wished he could wait for the doorbell repairman. Saturdays were the best day to stand on the dock and watch boats. There were tugboats, and motorboats, and dachshunds, and... Dachshunds?
Hey, it's Hundley!
Hundley loved everything about sailing. How the sails sounded when they caught the wind. How the doorman used the wind in the sails to make the boat go faster. And how there was all that water between their boat and the nearest sloppy monkey.
Hey, I never knew you guys sailed.
Sure. Hundley likes sailing so much, I put a boat in his dish. Now drinking water reminds him of sailing, which makes him happy.
If you want to see some great sailing ships, watch Pirates of the Wybecus tonight.
Any show about sailing ships sounded good to Hundley.
It's so good. The first time I saw it, I wished I was a pirate.
Since this was a sailboat, George wanted to be the wind and make it go.
Let's go, George.
Natural Geometric Exploring presents Pirates of the Wybecus.
Wow. How'd you like to sail a ship like that, Hundley?
Now there was a ship that couldn't be sunk by monkey breath.
The SS Wybecus was attacked by the bold pirate Black Hat Besame.
Pirate vessel off the port bow. All hands to your stations. Haul wind, coxswain.
Those ships were so dignified and neat. Wouldn't it be great to be an old-time captain?
The neatest ship to ever set sail was the SS Dignified. Its commander was world-renowned, Captain Hundley. No other captain was as smart, as orderly, or had as wet a nose.
All's clear, Captain Hundley, sir. Thank you, sir. You know how much your approval means to me, sir.
Captain Hundley's crew was always orderly and efficient. one knew how to ride the breezes like Captain Hundley, the greatest sailor in the history of wind. But all was not smooth sailing. A new crewman came aboard during a stop in the dry Tortugas. New first mate George was a sloppy monkey with a jelly sandwich. But Captain Hundley didn't worry. He put that monkey in the brig and kept his ship dignified. Nope, not in this log. George felt bad about waking Jumpy Squirrel, but he had to move on. Then he got an idea. Playing possum had its uses.
I got another call about the creature. This time, a stampeded cattle at Rankin's farm. But let me reassure the kiddies that this is all in fun. The creature's only a legend. I hope.
George remembered that the possum liked fish sandwiches, so maybe it lived in water, like beavers. Raccoons must be nocturnal too. But his possum showed no interest in living in water, unless he lived in a boat.
Clint, that lake creature seems to be stealing our boat.
Maybe this possum's family lived in town. George held him high so he could help look.
Folks, remember, the lake creature is just a fisherman's legend. He doesn't exist. Except there he is. He must be 12 feet tall and as terrifying as a shark holding a harpoon.
It was getting later and later, but George still hadn't found the possum's home. He found more nocturnal creatures' homes. He found daytime creatures' homes too. But he couldn't find the possum's home. He was so tired, he was imagining possums everywhere. Or was he? The possum family lived in a tree.
George? Kind of late for a stroll. This has been quite an evening. Citizens report and night creatures.
George had seen night creatures too. Bill was right. There were a lot of them. But Bill was wrong about the town.
Lock your doors. No telling where the creature will appear next.
It wasn't at all quiet at night.
Night, George. You sleep well.
George would sleep well. And with the possum gone, he'd fill the feeder and wake to chirping birds.
Morning, George. Time to get up. What? George?
Oh. George learned one more thing about nocturnal creatures. Little animals that stay awake at night sleep during the day.